Umoja is Swahili. It's also it means unity. It's one of the principles for Kwanzaa. And even if black folk didn't know what Umoja meant, they knew it was a European, right? You look at it, Umoja, it sounds African. And then circles, from my learning, I knew the power of, and from my experience as a woman in community, a mother, I knew the power of the circle, of bringing things 360. So that's where Umoja, the name came about, Umoja circles. One is something culturally identifying to black identified people. And then when I started thinking, okay, now that I have a name, what am I going to do for curriculum? And so I went looking for evidence-based practices from black social workers, psychologists, mental health specialists. And I came upon Thomas Parham, and I hope I'm not jacking his name up. But I came across him, and I was really impressed by what he said, that in the African culture, there are 3 principles. Now, we know people, Africans in the diaspora, are very diverse, but he said there's 3 things that we could look to for people, African people, and that is we are a people of community, we are people that are interconnected to each other, and we are people that believe in a divinity. And that divinity is what the interconnectedness that forms the community. So I knew I had a starting point that I could build off of that. So I needed to get to something that was foundational, something that felt natural, something that was powerful enough to bring us through a very scary situation. So that's where I began.
I remember about 2020, summer of about 2020, and my good friend Ethelyn, I worked with her for about 18 years in prior capacity, and she's aware I was already a psychotherapist working in Brooklyn at a private practice. And Eva, I'm in social work school, I need someone to supervise me for my program. I said, sure, why not? So I was really impressed by the goal of really helping the black community through the pandemic. And I think the main theme was really introducing the black community to mental health through Umoja circles. It wasn't therapy, it was more of a gateway to just getting help. It wouldn't solve all problems, but it would give the black community some coping skills through stress management, through mindfulness, with a cultural framework. As a psychotherapist, it's important that we involve culture in treatment. And I think one thing that keeps black folks from doing therapy is lack of cultural awareness by psychotherapists. And I must say, during COVID, I had clients tell me, I'm happy to have a black therapist. And all my clients were pretty much black or African Caribbean. And I think the idea that having a black therapist during, especially that time, was a sense of a safe space. I think UC has a safe space aspect that we need in black community for emotional processing. So I think working with Ethelyn to build up Umoja circles from the inception, it was a sense of extension of my current work as a psychotherapist. And I think it was an add-on to my current work, whereas not everybody's ready for therapy, but it's a gateway to therapy. It's a gateway to community, a gateway to healing from past and current and maybe future even issues that might come up in life. So it brought all that into it, that whether you were 18 or 55, you can find a way to be healed through Umoja circles. And that's really important.
For myself, I'm very big on sustainability. So although this was something that begun when people were paying attention and understood that emotional processing space needed to be there, I had a feeling that once things were back to normal, especially Columbia University being a predominantly white space, not sure who would be able to keep it going. And although CSSW is a predominantly white space, it's right here in Harlem, right? You literally have Harlem. And so, and I walk to work every day. I work in Harlem, and I see the gaps of care, the gaps of mental health services that are not being addressed. And so, although I graduated and I was alumni, I reached back, and Eva, I, and Dr. O had a conversation on what it might look like to keep Umoja circles, keep that space viable for the community. And at that time, I was working with Eva. I went on to have a job. I just follow you everywhere. But we were working together as clinicians, and I had a group of girls that I was giving individual therapy to. And I had seen the power of Umoja circles during the pandemic, and I thought, what a wonderful opportunity to have Umoja circles for the group, become a group with the girls that I was working individually, because they had done so much work themselves to be able to benefit from a union like that. And so we saw it grow to a different setting, and that worked. And now that I'm not really involved with it on any level like that, just hearing the work that's being done and hearing that the community is responding, that the community is seeing Umoja circles as a valuable resource, I mean, that's incredible, because we know what it is. And I'm so glad that, and I'm hoping that each year as people join this work, and I say people join this work because once you're a group member, you are doing the work. It's not really the facilitator, it's the members of the group. Once they continue to do the work here in the community, that will continue to spread of, this is a place, a welcoming place to come, to be healed, to share healing. And it used to be, come, be safe, well, and connected, right? So that hasn't changed just because the pandemic is over. You know, safety is still a priority. Your mental health is still a priority. Stay well and being connected. So those are ways I would say that I've seen it grow and still growing, and it feels, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Milestones. I don't know about, I know milestones are important. I know they're important. I think a milestone for me is recognizing the clinical aspect of Umoja circles, that this model can be used across the nation. I think that's the milestone when Dr. Cole was wanted to publish the actual manual for the facilitator and workbook, because we realized that working with the Hope Center, and that meeting we had with the Hope Center in Harlem, that this could be used across our community. That's a milestone, recognizing it can be duplicated, right? That everything we use in social work is evidence-based practice. That's duplicated across CBT, DBT. It's all duplicatable across any population. So that's important, that you can see it being used beyond CSSW. That's really amazing. That's the milestone. Well, one, definitely that Columbia supports it. I think it is a Columbia program that Columbia continues to support Umoja circles. This project is definitely a big part of it. And I think that they see the value of their own program. So I'd love to see Action Lab get a lot more support from Columbia. I think that's really important, that just more. And I think one challenge we had was getting Columbia, like other Columbia programs targeting the Black community, to really network together, right? How do we get this in-house and knowing that it's really powerful? So really make sure that the campus is aware of it, but also that it can enhance Columbia's connection to the community. That's really important too. Yeah.
I hope that more Black mental health professionals will come forward to want to facilitate spaces like this and just continue branching out in schools, not just universities, um, especially not universities, because most universities have mental health spaces that are free to their student body. But really get into the high schools, get into the junior high schools, get into the elementary schools, start to normalize, um, not so much normalize mental health, yes, that, because we do have infusions of mental health in schools, but start to normalize that individuals are empowered to help their peers. Because that is the concept of Umoja Circle. That is not the facilitator, it's the circle. It's the circle that we come to healing. It's the circle that does the healing. It's the circle that has the safety. It's the circle that has the connection, the wellness. So if I'm walking down the street and I hear a 6-year-old or a 13-year-old say, yeah, so what happened in your Umoja circles? Or I have a problem, I'm gonna wait to get to your Umoja circles. That's the normacy that I envision for our young people, for the next generation. And, but it will take mental health, Black mental health professionals to bring it there, to want to come to start up those spaces.